what it is.
Yeah. Greetings, everyone. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror, search for Uhuru. And I want to give you guys a disclaimer. I've had the hiccups now since last night. So please forgive me. We're going to work on it. I'm going to go drink me some water real quick. But we got my brother NAKMEEZY on. I just drank some water, but they came back. Goodness. So NAKMEEZY, go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll jump right into it. Let me get another glass of water so I don't mess up the flow. But everyone, hit that like button. Again, hit that like button. Let me go drink some water real quick, y'all. You guys, sorry about that. But go ahead, NAKMEEZY.
All right, brother. Take care of your hiccups.
Yeah, but the topic, everyone, is the diaspora ceasefire that needs to happen. You know, we are at the bottom of the slave ship, and we're fighting at the bottom of the slave ship. So the back and forth, the bickering, the pettiness, you know, we gotta stop, family. So I'll be right back.
All right, for those in the chat, most of y'all know me because I see y'all in these YouTube streets or whatever. But let me tell you how I came to the realization that there needs to be a permanent ceasefire in the diaspora war. You know, 2020 was a crazy year, and it was on two sides. It was a blessing and a curse that we were all put in the same space on the internet due to quarantine and due to other situations. And when I saw this, I started seeing that we started banging on each other, but we still came into the same spaces. And I said, wow, there was one particular interaction that I had with a brother, and we were actually agreeing on everything. But we were arguing back and forth so much that we weren't listening to each other. All we were doing was trying to make a point. That's why I say, you know, if anything, 2020 has showed us that we need to come together for real. And look, I'll be honest with you. I've been on platforms. I've posted videos that are totally not progressive in terms of, you know, stopping the diaspora war. I was one of the ones that was busting the most shots in the diaspora war. But we all come to our senses at a certain time. And that's why I'm here to push this message. And I think it gives a little more credibility, being that I was somebody on the front lines of the diaspora war. So most people watching, you know, have an ideology that they believe in, right? You might be a Pan-African, you might be ADOS, you might be a mixture of two, but we can respect each other's ideologies and opinions and deal with each other from a place of respect. So if you haven't checked me out, it's NAKMEEZY. I'm not your average FBA. I try to be more balanced and nuanced. Yes, I have fire, but I'm trying to make sure that that fire is directed at those who need it, and that is not people that look like me. So let me look at some of these comments in the chat while we're waiting for my brother Dynasty Amir. Donnie goes in, shout out to you. Salute Angelica Bullard. Salute Malika Gadsden. She's always in the house. Knowledge Goddess. Peace. Donnie goes in. That's right, my brother. Peace. Audrey Kemi. Hey sis, I saw you on the on that other stream, and I tried to log in with every single account that I had, but it wasn't available. So you already know what that was. When they asked him, I think you asked him, and he couldn't even say my name, but that's another topic for another day, right? And look, just because we have a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire in this diaspora war, doesn't mean that we don't, that we're not going to deal with the traitors and enemies of peace and cooperation. You know what I'm saying? So just because I'm not going to be banging on people just because of where they're from, doesn't mean that I'm going to stay quiet on people that need to get that smoke. So Pan-Africanam, this guy is not one of my biggest fans. He's not a fan at all. But he said this is a dead horse topic. While I understand what he may mean by that, I think that it needs to be spoken about. You know, these positive topics and these topics that are going to bring us closer together as Black people born on the continent and in the diaspora are definitely necessary. Definitely necessary. If it's a dead horse, I hope most people think like you and they put that into action and not throw shots in the diaspora war. So I don't know what Dynasty is doing, but Yeah, man. So this is a little ad hoc. I don't like talking to myself, but let me know where you're checking in from in the chat, please. Where you checking in from? If Brooklyn's in the house, raise your hands. So Ayo Akande says, high conflict community. There is no progress without cooperation. Facts. Someone forgot to teach the Black community this. Yeah. I mean, I think we have to build the Black community first, because what we have are Black cliques. We don't really have a community. This is definitely not a dead horse topic. It's a lot of tribalism going on. That's right, Mufasa Shabazz. We're going to get into that today. So Joliet, Illinois, piece of treasure rich. Rotterdam City, El Swakombai. All right, so that's my brother right there. My thoughts on everything. You know what I'm saying? He and I speak it and talk behind the scenes. Again, he's from Curacao. I'm from Brooklyn, and that's my brother 100%. Douglasville, Georgia, but from Florida. All right. NYC, Bronx, living in Florida. I used to live in the Bronx, Malika. I used to live on 180th and Grand Avenue. Went to Fordham Road. No, Roosevelt High School on Fordham Road. I was a wild dude back then too. Dallas, Texas on the check-in. Oh, we already got super chats, and shout out to the one who super chatted just now. I'm gonna come back and acknowledge you. Manny from the UK. Shout out to Manny from the UK. Manny Emmy. Major respect to NAKMEEZY. Major respect to you, Jug Season Phoenix, but from Harlem. Holla. So Life of Solitude already gave a $10 super chat, and it says, why are we so tribalistic? I'm FBA, I'm Hebrew Israelites, I'm Pan-African, I'm a nationalist. I think we all have an identity crisis. Why can't we just be our race first? There it is. Race first, Black first. You know, and if you can't be Black first without acknowledging your lineage to Africa, right? Because Africa is the mother of civilization and mother of the strongest, most resilient, and you know, in my opinion, the best people on the planet Earth. So yeah, we can be Black first, but it doesn't mean you have to forget your particular tribe. So what we want to get past is toxic tribalism. You know what I'm saying? If you can big up yourself in terms of your tribe or your people, but don't have to have smoke for other people from other tribes, and look at them and say, okay, you know what? I like what y'all do. This is how we do it. I think we'll get further. But right now, like you said, with this toxic tribalism, we're having people that are just, you know, looking at other ways why they're better than another Black person. And really, that's a failed ideology, because worldwide, we've been taking L's. We've been taking so many L's. So how do we start turning those L's into W's? One idea is not to try to swagger jack somebody else's culture. And there's multiple cultures in the diaspora, also on the continent. What it is respecting your culture, respecting other people's cultures, linking up, forming like Voltron, so that we can start taking this thing over. The lovely Tigress, peace, sis. How are you? Heart, that's what's up. Mentwangwa, man, the South African names, they kill me every single time. Yeah, watch from Cape Town, South Africa. Peace. Knowledge Goddess, she says correct, so she's co-signing. Nigel Conover, Lotus Road, shout out to you. Someone came out the gate with something. So she says, love from the UK, please, where's my prince? Unfortunately, you're gonna have to deal with the general until the prince clears his throat, as I just did. He's in the chat right here. But he'll be back very shortly. So I'm just holding it down.
I'm just gonna have to work. I'm just gonna have to work through this. Y'all gonna have to just excuse me. I can't. I don't know what's going on, man. But I got these.
Maybe I need to scare you real quick. I need to scare you to get rid of those hiccups.
Scare me.
Look at that flag. Look at that flag.
Yeah, but everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you go to dynastymirror.com. Again, I apologize about the technical difficulties with the hiccups. I don't know what's going on, everyone. I head to Sierra Leone on Saturday. I cannot wait. I'll be there on Sunday, and I'm just looking forward to it, everybody. Whoever super chatted, thank you for the super chat. Barely appreciate it. NAKMEEZY, you got a record?
Nah, I made a I didn't make a record, but I know what she's talking about. She's talking about my latest video going after this dude that attacked one of our sisters. And I used a reggae song in it, but no, I don't have any records.
Okay. All right.
No criminal records either, so I'm good.
And guys, what we'll do, we'll open up the lines here in about 20 minutes. We'll open up the lines, but NAKMEEZY, what did I miss? So NAKMEEZY, why do we have to have this ceasefire? I mean, I know why, I have an idea why, but why is it imperative that we have this ceasefire, NAKMEEZY? And what do people not get? Like, why are we beefing with each other? Like, why?
I mean, I think that we've been taking L's across this planet for the longest, for too long.
Yeah.
And we seem to have more smoke for people that look like us than the actual real ops. So why is that? We have to get to the nitty gritty and the cause of it. A lot of it is toxic tribalism. Once we start looking at other groups as allies instead of adversaries, then we can start pushing that needle to where it needs to go. But right now, I'll just give you an example. Whoever's in the chat, you ever notice that, like, when you walk past a black person in the street sometimes in the diaspora, it's like, y'all want to say what's up, but it's like, you're not sure. You know what I'm saying? It's so hard for black people to even say hello to each other. We have to start from the bare minimum, which is being nice to each other. From then we can build up until to the point where we can start taking this thing over.
Let everybody know, tell us about the fighting. Tell people about NAKMEEZY for people who don't know.
All right. Well, there was a comment that said I'm all over the place. It's not that I'm all over the place. I never stop learning. While I am a teacher in some regards, I'm always a student. Okay, so what I am, I've never been one that is hard line. I always keep my ears and mind open for new information. So what I do is I take the new information, then I replace the old with the new. As far as who I am, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a fighter, I'm a community activist, I'm a give back person, and I'm someone that has a general non-breaking love for black people, regardless to where you were born. So I was on another platform. Let's just get this elephant out the room. And when I was on there, I didn't really feel too comfortable. There was tension with me and homie. And
I'm sorry not to interrupt you. When you say other platform,
it's not even worth mentioning, but it was another platform that was a very pro-ADOS platform, but it was ADOS at the expense of other black people not born in America. And that's what I don't do. You know what I'm saying? I could be proud of my lineage, but that doesn't mean I have to have smoke for someone who doesn't share my lineage. But we do share lineage all the way back to the continent. And to me, I think that's very important.
So do you consider yourself African?
No.
Okay. Can you explain?
Let me explain that. Okay, yeah. I'm of African descent, but I'm not an African. Okay. I'm 100% proud of my African lineage, 100%. But to claim that I'm African, we'd have to look at two things. One would be biological, and the other one would be cultural. Some people place culture over nature, right? So let's deal with culture first. My culture has been created in the belly of the beast in Black America, and that culture that gave me my fighting spirit, that culture that gave me the knowledge about who we are and where we're going, was formulated in Black America. Okay, so when we talk about biologically, I do have admixture. There's people on the continent that have admixture, so I don't put too much in that aspect of it. But for me to just jump and say, yeah, I'm an African, right? What does that do to the person who was born and raised in Africa, who really has a culture, who really has a language? We are connected, but we're not the same. And that's why I say I'm of African descent, but not an African.
So let me ask you this. So the analogy people will use, and guys, again, please forgive me. The analogy that people will use would be, you could take, I don't know, a tiger out of the jungle and put him in the forest, but he's still a tiger.
Right.
Do you? So you disagree with that, or?
I mean, I think it's a good analogy, right? But let's jump into that analogy. You take a tiger out the wild, and then it's in captivity, right? Then take that tiger and put it back in the wild. What happens to that tiger?
Okay, I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
You see what I'm saying? So the separation creates different realities. And we dealt with chattel slavery. The continent has dealt with not tribalism, that as well, but colonialism. So these two different sets have caused us to have different cultures. Now I can reach back to the African culture, and we as Black Americans have done that. And sometimes we got it wrong. You know, we created Kwanzaa. We've always reached out to Africa. And sometimes that's not met with open arms. You know what I'm saying? But when we talk about this diasporan war ceasefire, now we're going to just open the arms of both sides. You know what I'm saying? The whole diaspora, the whole continent, we got to really just open these arms up and do cultural exchange. And if my culture that I'm exchanging for the African culture is not the same, that drives my point that I am of African descent, but I am not an African. When I walk through Ghana, they call me straight. It's like, yo, Black American, Black American. They didn't say, hey, are you from this place? They could tell from how I walk, speak, talk, and everything.
Let me interject on that. I think it depends on which country. When I walk through Benin Republic, they don't know till I open my mouth. Same thing with Togo. Same thing with Nigeria. Now Ghana, I guess because they see a lot of Black Americans, I think they know that you're not one of them.
Right.
But everywhere else I go to, you know, I'm Nigerian, but before I was Nigerian, officially Nigerian, before I was, you know, anything, are you Nigerian?
Mm-hmm.
Are you South African? You from Ghana? Where are you from? Oh, you're Black American.
Right.
That's the experience outside of Ghana. Ghana, as soon as you exit that airport, you still got like a sore thumb. I don't know why.
But you know what happened in Ghana, and I did a test, that DNA test, and I didn't really want to do it. My homie told me, look, just do it. If you're going to trust the white man's science in terms of, you know, following the weatherman, then you got to trust them on DNA too, right? So I said, all right, I'm going to do it. And the majority of my DNA came back my African DNA came back to Nigeria. And when I was on Oxford Street, some dude was talking crap about Nigerians because he thought I was a Nigerian. So it depends on, you know, different regions have different phenotypes. And I've already heard that a lot of Black Americans tend to favor Nigerians because so many of us came from that region. So, you know, it is what it is. But all that is just to say, look, I love my African ancestry. That's the only one that I really care about, you know, but I'm going to put respect on the African that was born on the continent, who was raised on the continent, who had the struggle of school fees, who had the struggle of maybe having to flee due to the Biafran war, and say, okay, that is that person's African experience. My experience was totally different, but we still can link up though.
Let's see, Life of Solitude, thank you for the super chat. So it's about ethnicity, not race, according to you. What's your response to that?
Well, look, ethnicity and race. So we are the Black race, right? But we have to respect each other's differences. That's what I'm saying. A Ga is different from an Ewe, is different from an Ashanti. You know what I'm saying? They're all Black under the umbrella of Blackness, but their ethnicities are what is important to them. So a lot of people on the continent are T1. When you leave the continent, because we don't necessarily have a tribe, then we become country first. Like Miza Yadman, Miza Ait, I'm Haitian, or I'm a Black American. So when you don't have a tribe, so to speak, then you become nationalistic. Then you worry about geography and then even religion to some degree.
Absolutely. Guys, hit that like button again. Please hit the like button. We have almost 200 people watching it. And please forgive me about the hiccups. I apologize, but I just, we just got to tough it out. We are going to work it out. And also make sure you go to dynastymir.com. Again, please go to dynastymir.com and also go to ilaamir.com. And we'll take a commercial break here shortly. We'll run through Ilaamir as the show goes on. But guys, hit that like button. And if you want to call in and ask a question, email is uhuru@searchforuhuru.com, uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. That it's the email. Send me email, uhuru@searchforuhuru.com, uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. And somebody brought up a great point, NAKMEEZY, in the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a question, email me and hit that like button. Again, please hit that like button. So the Boers of South Africa.
The Moors or the Boers?
Boers in South Africa, the Boers.
The Boer, the Voortrekkers.
Right, exactly. Because they've been in Africa so long, technically, are they considered African?
Absolutely not. And they're not considered Dutch either. They're not Dutch either. I know a guy that used to work with me. I used to work with him. His great-grandmother left and went. She was part of that the Voortrekkers, and she went down there to South Africa. And they have a totally different culture. Their culture down there is based on their reality down there. While they're Europeans or of European descent, their culture is totally different. When they come to Holland, people can't even understand them. Right. So I understand that point, but it kind of proves my point. Separation and different circumstances creates different realities and different peoples.
Okay.
People will always say, well, a Chinese person that came to America, to help build the railroads is still Chinese, right?
Right.
See, the difference is these people left voluntarily. These people are still allowed to practice their culture, at least in the home. When you are part of that, the Black Holocaust, we had to practice our spirituality under duress. We had to camouflage, communication in song. We had to camouflage fighting styles in dance. We had to camouflage African spirituality in song. So it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's different when you are part of an enslaved group.
All right, cool. Let's see what else we got going on here. They say, I think we need an Afro-nationalist dictator, so we nip the confusion. What are your thoughts on that, comment?
An Afro-nationalistic dictator. I'd have to know exactly what that is, but there will never be one person that can dictate what happens on the continent or for Black people as a whole. Why? Because of what I keep talking about, tribalism. On the continent, if you take someone from East Africa and someone from West Africa, they're going to have to speak a colonial language to communicate with each other. Or they're going to have to use Kiswahili, which is also heavily influenced by Arabic. So there's too many differences for us to have one leader for 1.3 billion people, plus everyone in the diaspora. We're too diverse, and diversity is a great thing, especially when you come from when your lineage goes back to the most diverse continent on the planet Earth.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm not busy. I'm here.
I got you. Okay, so Rokoya says, and shout out to my sister Rokoya, who started the war? That's like what was first, the chicken or the egg? I tried to find out who started the war first, but it's hard. It's hard to figure out, and actually it doesn't matter. What matters is that the diaspora war stops, full stop, early, like yesterday. Because I did a show on someone else's platform, and I asked this brother, I said, yo, where you from? Because I knew where he was from because of his last name. And he says, well, Ancestry.com says I'm Ghanaian. So then after I started speaking to the brother, I said, yo, why didn't you just say you were God? Like, I mess with the God people. And he was just saying, look, every time I tell Black Americans that I'm African, it's never met with a positive reaction. So I had to take him for his word. And if I'm going to take him for his word, because I don't think he would make it up, then there's some onus that we as Black Americans have to have, and that he as well has to have, or Africans that have gone to America who've looked down on Black Americans. So we all hold some culpability in it. You know, I have a theory as to where it started, but for the sake of putting an end to this diaspora war, it's not even worth me speaking on, because it's going to be counterproductive to my ultimate goal here. So someone says, if I'm not African, what the F am I on here talking? If you listen, then you would have answered your own question. So it's people like that. I think his name is C1 in the chat. You know, if you're just coming in here looking for smoke, we could do the smoke, but I don't want to do it with someone with Twitter fingers. I would say, come on the chat and then let's spar, but let's do it with respect. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to curse at each other and things of that nature. You know, I would say to all men and women, speak to someone online as if they're standing in front of you. Because I know 100%, if you were standing in front of me, homie, you would never use the F word. So now go to the next comment. See, this is the NAKMEEZY that people know, right? I don't know what's going on with Dynasty's throat tonight, but we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. So Boers have been in South Africa for 400 years, same period as Black Americans in USA. Why dispute their African claim? They call themselves Africans and their language Africans too. No, they don't. They call themselves Afrikaners and Boer. And a Boer is a farmer. So they don't even really, they respect their Dutch identity, but they'll tell you straight up that they're a different people. They're not the same as the people that they left back in the day. Their language is different. Their culture is different. And the only thing that's the same are the last names. And because they still have their last names, goes back to my point that they weren't stripped of their culture. They weren't stripped of their culture, their religions, and things of that nature. When they went down there, they were called the voortrekkers, which actually in Dutch means, you know, like they're frontiermen, people that were, you know, pulling forward, right? Pulling forward. So when they went there, they bought what they could, and then they used influences of what they had in the new place that they were in. Someone says Dynas has diarrhea. I hope not. WM West Coast says, I don't care if I'm not African, if I'm African or not, I'm out of America. That's it. Shout to you. Whites, African, Africana is a mixture of Dutch. Yeah, it's a mixture. So then when we go to a mixture, can we say that the mixture is the same as the original? That's the question right there. You know, is African descent the same as being culturally African? I'm going to go to the culture because the, you know, the mulatto was born on a continent. You know what I'm saying? That's where the first mulatto was born. So let's stick with culture. If my culture is totally different, can I say that I'm the same as someone who can speak their native language, who knows the practices, who knows what hand to eat it with, who knows how to bow to what person? No, I don't know that. I know what I had from what I learned growing up in Black America, and I respect it, and that's who I am, and I'm not going to change for anyone. See, a lot of times when people from the diaspora, they go to Africa, a lot of them, and this is specifically Black Americans, they go to the continent and then they forget everything that they were before they got there. Some can say, you know, it's a homecoming. That's cool. I can respect that. But if you go there talking about you don't have a culture, then you're going to be someone that essentially is working from a place of weakness and not power. But it seems like, you know, when a Jamaican bigs up his Jamaican culture, it's embraced. When a Black American embraces their Black American culture, it's met with stay on a plantation and they call you a coon, but it is what it is. Is there anyone waiting to come in the chat? Because I don't like talking to myself. When are you visiting because you are Nigerian? Manny Emmy says, look, my first choice was Nigeria. I'm gonna tell you that. I have a one or two videos with a brother from Nigeria at my job. He's literally a genius, right? He gives me all the info on Nigeria. He told me, for your first trip, bro, go to Ghana just to get your feet wet. Once you get your feet wet, then he's gonna bring me to his. I already been to his house here, but he's gonna take me to Edo State, Benin City. That's where he's from. So I'm going to Nigeria 100%. Yes, African Americans do have a culture.
If you guys like to call in, email is uhuru@searchforahuru.com, uhuru@searchforahuru.com. Send me an email and I will forward you guys the link. Again, send me an email and I will forward you the link, everybody. Stop it, Dynus.
So, Dynus, someone asked me, what is 50 Deep? That's Tiger. 50 Deep is a group that I created here in the Netherlands to stand on the front lines for anti-Black racism, specifically in this time of the year where they walk around with Dutch blackface, terrorizing Black women and children, and also just.
Are they still doing that? The Black.
They're still doing it, but what you don't see is you don't see the Black, you know, these gollywogs in the store. Last year you did, but this year, even the Prime Minister had to mention it, and they started to fall back. So I jumped into that movement in the end, but I jumped into that movement from a military standpoint because we had a lot of people out here protesting and our women were taking L's. So people were ripping signs out of women's hands like men. And I said, that ain't gonna happen as long as I have a breath in my body. So it took me a while to get to military-minded men who had some sense and discipline to stand on the front line. So that's two times out of the year. But the rest of the year, we're doing community give back programs, tuition reimbursement programs. I train only Black kids in the art of Muay Thai and kickboxing. And this is what we do. We just give back. So that's why I represent 50 Deep. And what does 50 Deep mean? I had a vision, like if you could get 50 Black men together, and I think Tupac said this first, but his said 50 N-words, right? I'm not an N-word, never been an N-word. If you get 50 Black men, you know, on code with the same goal that are willing to put the action to that goal, then you can start changing things. And that's why it needs to be an end to the diaspora war, so we can make that 50 to 500 to 5,000 to 5 million.
All right, guys, again, hit that like button. Hit that like button, please. Hit the like button. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. Thank you for the super chat. Again, please hit that like button. We have almost 300 people watching. Hit that like button. Again, guys, lines is open. I think we got a caller. All right, let me see the link, brother. Brother Joan. Let me see the link, brother. Let me see this link. All right, link sent. So go ahead and call in so we could continue the conversation, everyone. Go ahead and call in, brother. Again, go ahead and call in. Go ahead and call in. So what's next? NAKMEEZY, what are you working on? Like what else you got going on?
Well, right now I have a team of MMA fighters in Accra, based in Dansoman. And right now I'm working logistics out to try to get equipment there, to try to get contracts, to try to get fights here in Europe. So that's what I'm working on right there. And once I've created it, once I get all the kinks out, then, you know, we'll be talking about sponsorships and things of that nature. But this is how I give back. I don't just say, okay, I'm just going to randomly give back to people. No. You have to work from a place of where you know, right? If I have no idea about fighting, then I wouldn't be in that space. So that's my niche, and that's what I'm going with. So that's what I'm doing on the continent with that, and also dealing with school fees in the in the community called Bukom. So two things that I'm doing on the continent. But I'm getting busy here in the Netherlands. So wherever Black people are, whether they're on the continent or whether they're in America or whether in the Netherlands, I'm the only Black American out here that's on these front lines. So I can't just be on some, oh, I'm only going to deal with ADOS or FBA because I'm the only one. So I do what I can do for our people worldwide.
Have you read the book Out of America, A Black Man Confronts Africa?
No, I haven't. I just finished Barracoon. Wait, the Barracoon book. What's the name of it?
I actually went to Mobile, Alabama, to Africa Town, where the brother you're speaking of.
Yeah. Yep.
Actually did last summer.
Africa Town.
Yeah. In Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, that sounds powerful. Africa Town.
Cujo Lewis. Lewis.
Cujo. Yep.
Lewis, yeah. Kosula, yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this, NAKMEEZY. The people who think that they're Native Americans,
right?
What are your thoughts on them?
The Turtle Island crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cherokee, Turtle Island. You know.
All right. I did all my DNA tests. Right. I'm gonna give y'all the breakdown. It was 70% West and Central African, 19% European, which I was happy that it was in the teens because people say we have 25 to 30%, which I always thought was too high anyway. And then 10% was Native American. And that's very, very high for a Black person. When I looked at that 10%, it wasn't like I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to, build a TP and smoke a peace pipe. No, that 10% makes me ask myself, and I really don't care to research, but were some of my people owned by slave-owning tribes that were part of the 5 so-called civilized tribes? That's not something that I big up. I don't big up anything that tends to get away from its Africanness. Like I respect my Israelite brothers because they stand on the front line, but my issue with them was that they say that they're not from Africa, not even of African descent, some of them. So, the Native American thing, I think a lot of it is just people trying to justify their self-hate. And if you notice, these Turtle Island people are always in Black spaces.
Always.
Or African spaces. I'm like me, I had to fall back from PanAfrican Spaces, right? Out of respect for the audience and respect for the chat. Then I slowly creep my way back in. But they just come to cause confusion. Well, we're not from Africa. So why would you go on a platform called Search for Uhuru or a chat run by Pan-Africanism Strikes Back? Stick to Turtle Island. So those people, to me, and the ones who say the old Mex were Black, I'm just like, come on, man, just stop it.
Rakoya, go ahead.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, sis.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in here. I responded to your comments about the ceasefire, and I think I asked a question that you responded to, but I wanted to dialogue a little bit around that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, I think it's very important for us to understand why there is this war, because it's almost like a house divided, right? When there's a family that's at it, or they're dysfunctional in some way, it's good. I think I appreciate your initiative. Let's stop the war. I mean, no doubt. But I think that more work has to be focused on creating the environment where peace actually thrives. I say this because I find that a lot of the dialogue, I mean, I lived in the US for 33 years. It's a long time, longer than I lived on the continent. And there's been a lot of ebbs in how the relationship between the immigrant and the I'd say the native African American population is. There's always been some back and forth, but I think the last 2-3 years is where we saw this real angst, and I think maybe social media had something to do with it. But then with the rise in the ADOS movement, coupled with the FBA, the rhetoric became very divisive, and it pushed a lot of the bridge building to sort of start dissipating. And I'm going to share this from my own personal experience. I've always been somebody who's, as an African, has always wanted to make that connection, and I've actively done it in many, many ways. But even people that I was dialoguing with, people who initially were very curious about, learning, and me learning from them and all that, I realized that some people are just followers. As long as the conversation is about somebody who is saying things that they find attractive, and in this case, we all were understanding that the push was for, we want reparations, we want recognition, we want all of that now. And this is an anthem that I see every Black person with any common sense will stand behind this. It's a justice claim. There's no argument. But then, in order to stage that claim, I think the architects of this whole movement did not really understand their division in trying to create this awareness of lineage. The language and the rhetoric created this us against them, which was not necessary. And I saw how people that I used to dialogue with on Facebook in a united way started separating themselves and trying to rationalize why they were saying this. And we need our house to be in order. We need to separate the lineage so that the payments are made to us. And I found that this was sort of seductive. And a lot of people started beginning to mentally create an other. It is them and us. And it's not necessary. If you have a reparation claim, go for it and get everyone behind it. Let the technicalities of who qualifies be generated, and those who don't. You understand? I mean, I never saw Black immigrants as a significant threat to African Americans in this country. First of all, the numbers are very small. They push the needle very, very little. If anything at all, it gives a bigger number, just like how the Hispanics are growing their population in America and are shifting the politics of America. The numbers is what kicks in. So anyway, I wanted to say that it was important for us to understand so that we can roll back some of the damage and create peace. Peace is an actual thing that we work for. So being against the division, I think, is good, and I'm behind that. I've always believed that being for something, standing for something, is more powerful than being against something. And it's even a law of the universe. So I wanted to sort of clarify that, because I saw people in the chat saying, when I asked the question, it doesn't matter. Why do you need to know and all that? And you have to. It's just the way. So,
sister, let me just ask you a couple of questions.
Sure,
and these questions I'm going to ask, knowing that it's going to be counterproductive to what the name of this show is. This show is about a permanent ceasefire in the diaspora war. Now, do you think that anti-African sentiment or anti-Black American sentiment started with this new ADOS movement?
I think that it has always been there, but it's been something.
Okay, thank you. Hold on, sis. Yeah. I don't want to explanatory. I want to just attack it like right away, right? So if you agree that it didn't start with the ADOS movement, okay, then you have to also agree that the problem has existed before the ADOS movement. Okay, it's existed in America between Black Americans and people from the Caribbean, and there's also been smoke between Caribbean people and Africans. All you have to do is look at what's going on in London with Jamaicans versus Africans, right? So there's always been issues between the diaspora. So the FBA and the ADOS and the reparations movement are totally separate. And I think if we go down that road, we're going to open up a can of worms, and we're going to turn this into something that it doesn't need to be. You know, I can take it all the way back to the continent and say that whatever country you're from, there's probably ethnic groups in that country that don't get along. So why would we try to?
I agree with you, but I wanted to qualify what you said, because things that are personal anecdotes do not reflect the collective. So I always believe that it's just like me saying I don't like rice, right? I don't like rice, or you say I don't like mac and cheese. That does not rise to something that consumes the entire collective. So what I'm trying to say is that even though those types of things, those energies existed, they were not things that fueled a collective movement. Yes, I'm from Togo, and I'm both Togo and from Ghana. My parents come from different. I am Ewe and I am Ga and I'm Fanti, and my grandmother is Yoruba. What I'm saying is this: there are those things; those are as almost moot points in life, because people don't like things. But it is when the language or the voice of those who don't like completely consume those who like, then we're moving into that kind of collective. So all I'm saying is that something existed, and at some point it was personal, anecdotal. People saying, oh, they don't like us, I don't like them. Everybody has a story. Somebody treated me bad. Right? But then that is not the representation of the collective. So it has no power. It only becomes powerful when it becomes the resonating thing that we're all talking about. So I'm only saying that, and I don't want to move this into that ADOS language. I only say that because I know you're coming from that platform in saying, let us have this ceasefire. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing. I'm only saying, let's understand where it came from so that we create things that counter that. That's all I'm saying.
Sis, you said, and you confirmed where it came from. It started before the ADOS/FBA movement. So once you recognize that division amongst Black people started on the continent due to different ethnic groups and different cultures. Why would we think that it's going to be any different when we have an ethnic group that's been in a place for 400 years and another people from that continent of different ethnic groups coming amongst the people that were already there due to that separation? So again, I want to focus on getting past, not just where did it come from, because we know it came from the continent. It didn't start with Tone Talks. These Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell, I will tell you, they have been known to say things that are very xenophobic in nature. Okay, I know there's people in the ADOS movement that are very xenophobic in nature. There are also people in these comment sections and even in this chat right now that are very xenophobic in nature. South Africa, there was xenophobia, and their xenophobia ends with a tire with petrol around your neck because they say that you're a Nigerian and you're taking their jobs. So I don't think that anyone from the ADOS or FBA movement has burned anyone alive in the middle of the streets. So let's focus on putting a stop to this diaspora war, and chicken or the egg. Right now, it doesn't matter. Let's make some omelets. That's what I'm talking about.
I agree with you. You have to make the omelet. I'm also saying to you that, yes, indeed, putting a Band-Aid on something that, like you said, has existed from the continent to here without creating opportunities for peace means we will revisit these things all the time. What creates peace is dialogue. What creates peace is you and I knowing each other, so that it's harder for somebody to point and say, look at them, that's an Ashanti, that's an Ewe, that's my friend, that's my brother. So that's all I'm saying, that more when we focus on first understanding why we do what we do, like you have said again, some of these divisions came from the continent. But if you don't understand For example, why an Ashanti might point to an Ewe and say, I don't like them, then you haven't done anything to move that dialogue further. So again, I'm not
It
agreeing.
was the Ashanti Ewe Wars, if you want to be specific.
Ashantis and Ewers had wars, but before there was wars, you also have to understand Ewers have a lot of allegiance to the Dahomey and the Yoruba, and so those before European intervention, those people were vassal states to Yoruba or your kingdom. And the Ashantis and the Yorubas had ambassadorial relationships. They maintained their territories. The wars, if you want to fully understand the wars of expansion from the Ashantis, then you have to also understand the influence of Europeans in some of these wars and how long these wars took place. Now, you and I'm a history buff. I read a lot, I do a lot, and I can tell from your conversations that you know a lot too. But again, I don't like to deal with things without getting to the bottom of it, because if you understand what you're doing, then you can create solutions for what we're doing. I mean, it's just maybe my training in real life or whatever. You also have to go further than that. The Shantis were not fighting their ways all the time. They had intermarriages. Kings gave their wives to the kingdom that they had conquered. They gave their daughters so that there would be this kind of detent. You don't attack me because now my daughter is your wife. The relationship in African kingdoms was very complex, and it's not a good thing to discuss them like they were just, they were fighting and all that. To me, it makes no sense, right? Because 500 years is very small in the scheme of things, of African kingdoms that go to the 10th century and the 12th, and they can trace their lineages and their kings way back to the 8th century. What was happening before then and 1492 when the Europeans came, so anyway.
Now, I appreciate you. So I would ask you to offer me a solution. How do we go forward? Do you agree with the diaspora war ceasefire, or should we keep going to find the cause of it? We already know it's a problem.
I agree with you. I have said that to you all the time, that we need the ceasefire, because that's going to, if we all adopt that, that's going to stop the distraction. I need the fire. But then I'm also adding an element to what you've said. I'm saying there are things that happen that create opportunities for peace. So I will do my part, and you have a platform, you have your part. We're going to have to work together. And I always say this. There was a time that somebody had asked Mother Teresa, the iconic charitable nun in India, that she was never seen at any of the marches that was against war, when the America was attacking, and there was a lot of wars in Asia, I think it was in some war in Vietnam or something. Why she was never seen in these marches, people going fighting against war? And she said, show me the march for peace and I will show up there. Show me the march for peace, because the energy for peace has more power. So I'm only adding a layer to what you said, Mr. NAKMEEZY, that for me, I look at the construction. So yes, without doubt, let's stop this. And then let's see how we can build dialogues. I'll tell you something that I do, and then I'll sign up. For many, many years, I've been involved in creating dialogue platforms for dialogue between African American kids and African children. When Google released the Google Hangout, one of the first things we did within the group that I operate is to get young teenagers in Ghana. We pulled them from schools. I mean, if you're disadvantaged, then you join our program. And we find kids of the same age here in the Silicon Valley in our volunteer African group. And then we get these kids talking once a month. They're on Hangouts, they see each other, they ask questions. What's your school like? I didn't know you had this, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, that is beginning to create an awareness that I think things like that will help move. First of all, we'll all have knowledge about each other. We'll see how not different we are. And then when somebody starts talking about somebody like they're a stranger, you have your own personal anecdotes. It's like, you know what? I didn't know that. All I feel is love. Or, things like that is what I'm saying. Let's actively go for the peace part of it. And I think
Yes.
over time we will be able to resolve. So this is just to add to what you're saying. It's not to argue with you or to say it doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying I agree with you, and this is my contribution to it.
And I appreciate you, sis. I appreciate you, and I always appreciate your knowledge and expertise. If I'm not mistaken, do you work in IT or something with computers?
I run.
You have a company, right?
Yeah.
Right. See, I pay attention to you. So
Okay.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate you, and as always.
As usual.
What you say?
I say it was always great chatting with you, man.
Yeah, likewise, sister.
All right.
Well, see, you and I have a ceasefire because when we first met, we weren't like this. You know that, right?
Of course.
But now, there you go.
Ceasefire right now, creating the peace. There.
Early. Thank you, sis. I want to address someone in the chat who says, they said, NAKMEEZY rubs me the wrong way and that I think I'm all that. That's Brooklyn in me, okay? And that's also that Nigeria in me. If you notice, people say that Nigerians think they all that, and I have a drive, okay? I have a drive that New York City raised, that Brooklyn raised. And some people see it as being cocky, and they rather me be humble. To be humble means to have a low sense of self-worth. We as Black people were humbled in slave castles, on slave ships, and on plantations. I will no longer be humbled unless it's dealing with my people. But I'm always going to move from a place of power and confidence. And if my confidence rubs you the wrong way, then I would say, I'm sorry, but not sorry.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, Brother Steve, go ahead. Steve, you got to unmute yourself. Steve.
I'm here. How you doing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Just got a few things to say. I think it's safe to say that I'm older than both of you gentlemen.
How old are you?
Mid-50s.
Okay.
So I'm older than both of you gentlemen. So I remember back in the 70s, 80s, there was a stigma from Africans coming over to the United States and with adults as well as the youth. It wasn't widespread, but it was significant. So if there was an immigrant African that came to school, they may have been picked on. Michael Blackson talks about this, it happening to him a lot, who's the African comedian. But today, that's basically gone away.
Right.
So some of those, the thing with being older is that the older you are, you have sight over a long period of time, so you can see the trends. So when you guys are talking about, or when people are talking about some kind of diaspora war, I don't know what you're talking about. Things were worse back then. Today, not only has that stigma gone away, Black Americans are moving to Africa in record numbers. The integration, the bridges that have been built between Blacks and the diaspora, specifically the United States and Africa, the bridges have been built so quick, I never thought I would see this in my lifetime. And it's been helped along by technology. If you look at the youth have integrated. You listen to BLS on a Friday night now. What is the segment at 11 o'clock? Since you're from Brooklyn, Afrobeat. The young people are listening to Afrobeat music. The people in Africa are listening to hip hop music from Black Americans. So I don't see where there is a diaspora war. I think what I see is people online, on Twitter, and Facebook, YouTube, talking, and it's maybe some thousands of people, but that's not the majority of the people. When you look at AAU basketball, what do you see? Africans and African Americans playing ball. When you look at NCAA now, you look at Division I basketball. What do you see on the basketball teams? You see those African names. When you look at football now, Texas, what do you see? African names on the back of those jerseys. I really don't, there is no African, in my view, there is no African diaspora war. Things have gotten much better. There is much more integration, a lot more bridges. You know, they're closer now. Black Americans, especially the youth, and I know because I have a son that plays ball in university, the youth have integrated so much more than it has ever been. And I think things are better than they've ever been. Now, I look at what's going on and I say, it's quite a coincidence that things are better now than they've ever been between us and Africans, you know, on the continent. But then some thing comes up called diaspora wars out of the blue, right? And like I said, I'm older than you guys, so I've seen things get better. This is the best that it's ever been. So my take is there is no diaspora war. There's none of that. Things are moving along quicker than I ever thought they would have. And, you know, people like Dynas is actually an example of that. So I don't see where's this diaspora war? The numbers, the actual facts and the statistics and the numbers back me up.
Okay, since you're a numbers guy, quote me some of these numbers that you're talking about.
You know, and that's what I see. I don't have them in front of me right now. I just got the link. Dynas,
so don't call numbers if you don't have them with you, brother.
Okay, so
I'm gonna call you on it.
The New York Post wrote an article, and I'll try to find it now, about the number of blacks that are moving to Africa and how they're happening in record numbers. Right? And I shouldn't have to, why Black Americans are moving to Africa, New York Post, right? Go look for it. So, and there's been plenty of other articles talking about the numbers of Black, and you guys know, and Dynas knows that the number of Black people moving from the United States to Africa is at record numbers. There's never been this high before.
There was an article that was just written recently by either New York Post or Washington Post by our brother. Since I'm a foundational Black American, okay, here we go. Barack Obama and Kamala Harris aren't foundational, pretty much to the tune, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris aren't foundational Black Americans. Would America ever elect a foundational Black American president like me? So you have a lot of that going on too. A lot.
Let me jump in real quick, brother. So your experience and my experience, because I agree with a lot of what you say, it's a lot better now, which is why it's going in the right direction. But I'm trying to push it further. You understand what I'm saying? Because we as New Yorkers, we have a different experience. We come from a very international city. Now, everyone's experience is not the same. Like I met people here, Black Surinamese that can't stand Africans. And it's crazy because a lot of these Surinamese look phenotypically straight African. You know, a lot of them coming from Ghana. So, you know, just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but there's Black people in the United States that can't stand other Black people.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Listen, I'm not finished. See, we have to, this is what I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
We have to at least.
Go ahead. I can't hear. I'm getting a delay. So go ahead.
Okay, no problem, brother. So what we have to do, like I said in the beginning, is that Black people have to learn how to be nice to each other. We got to start at the bare minimum, like just being nice and cordial with each other, right? So just because we may not see it, there's other people and there's movements that are infected with xenophobia, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, I like the way that it's going in a good direction, but we're not where it needs to be. There's a movement in Ghana, and it's called the Kumerica movement in Kumasi, where they make drill music. Sick, right? But what you saw on Twitter was people say, oh, they're trying so hard to be Black. And then that caused Ghanaians to strike back. These are the diaspora wars that I'm talking about. If you look at, I guess, comment sections on some pro-ADOS groups and some anti-ADOS groups, you're going to see the diaspora war there. It's largely online, But since the invent of the smartphone and internet, most of us are online more than we are in these streets, or a lot of us anyway. So wherever we are is wherever the war has to be fought. And being that it's online primarily, that's why we're talking about this online. And when I'm calling for a permanent ceasefire in the diaspora war.
Now, I don't know, and that's fine. I mean, to say, you know, you're doing that. I just want to say that, especially for people listening, that this is not a widespread thing. I don't even think you should call it a war, to be quite honest. I think that's provocative. But, you know, people disagree and they have, you know, their feelings about stuff. I remember back in the day, again, when Black people who moved to the suburbs didn't want to see other Black people move out to the suburbs. Like, oh, more Black people are moving in. So, I mean, this is just the way human beings are. You're going to get people who disagree. You're going to get people who fight over silly things or don't like another person because of whatever reason. My whole thing is that things are better than they've ever been. Things are moving in the right direction. And I think when things like this come up, we ought to start looking around to see where exactly did this stuff come from. Because it always seems that when things are going really well, that's when these things pop up out of nowhere, you know, and I don't believe in these kind of coincidences. So I would just, you know, my whole thing is that maybe more try to highlight what's going on. I think there are a lot of people that have moved. There are a lot of people that are doing things. Organizations been built. And just what great hospital is in Ghana that's been built by African Americans, a collaboration between African Americans and Africans. All kind of great things are going on. And on top of all that, the investment that's starting to happen secretly is phenomenal. That's all I can say on that. But the investment is absolutely phenomenal. I mean,
and that's exactly why we have to have a ceasefire to the diaspora war. I've been on here and have had diaspora wars on Dynasty's platform, you know, and then when we stop recording, have spoken for 15 to 20 minutes after, just to drive home the point that we need to start respecting each other in public and private. So the whole point of it is that we need to start coming together and stop firing shots at each other, and even you know, diaspora set tripping, which is basically people from the same ethnic group throwing shots at each other instead of coming together and trying to see a way that we can, you know, bridge this gap, because that's honestly what Dynasty's platform is for, is to bridge the gap. And if we're going to bridge the gap, then we have to have a ceasefire in the diaspora war. But I appreciate your input, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just think that, you know, maybe more highlighting the positive things that are going on, which a lot of people are doing, and all of the businesses that are starting to be formed, and all of the quality relationships that are starting to be formed. I think those things inspire people. I think all of the other noise will die down and die away like everything else does. You know, that's negative and has no real base. It'll just die away over time. 2 years from now, we won't even be talking about this. So, you know, just continue to highlight those things that are positive, all of the great things that are happening, and hold that up as an option to the rest of the nonsense that's going on. And people will focus on that because they'll be inspired by it.
Thank you for your input, brother.
Brother, I appreciate it, man. And thank you for coming on, brother Steve. Appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
Okay. NAKMEEZY, can people comp your merch in the USA?
Unfortunately, the merch can't be copped anywhere. The 50 deep merchandise is earned. It's not sold. So this is for people who put work in the streets. And I see you in these YouTube streets all the time, Titus Beatley. So if you hit me at Young Got Black first and you're an extra large, I got a shirt for you. Okay. If not, then I have to wait till I re-up. But this stuff is given away for people that are doing things for the community and who have an undying love for Black people.
DOG, go ahead, brother. And guys, if you notice, my hiccups have calmed down. I drunk me some more water. It's like my 10th glass of water. So I'm feeling a whole lot better now, everybody. GOG, go ahead, bro. GOJ, I'm sorry. GOJ, go ahead.
Yeah. What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
What's going on, NAKMEEZY? What's going on, Dinas?
How you doing, brother?
I'm chilling.
Oh, got it, Jacob. Shout out to you.
What's up, man? Yeah, man.
All
Hey,
right.
I'm all good. I'm all good for the ceasefire and all that good stuff. But it shouldn't constitute us not still you know, acting in self-interest as far as on this side of the house. You get what I'm saying? I still feel like
Absolutely.
we should still address the wealth gap over here. And that's my biggest thing about that. I'm all for a ceasefire, but at the same time, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We still got to hold down the fort. And that's why I'm at with it, you know. And sometimes, you know, I get caught up in the like xenophobic moments. For instance, you know, in the chat just recently, somebody say, what is Ado's culture? What? And then I say, okay, what is African culture? Tell me what African culture is. You get what I'm saying? So stuff like
Right.
that. When you ask me what is Ado's culture, you basically telling me I don't have a
That
culture.
you have no
So
culture.
then, right, and little sparks like that trigger me. I'm just gonna tell you right now. So then I'm gonna ask you the question: what is African culture? But it's that pettiness that you know I gotta learn how to. I gotta discipline myself because I come from an industry that focuses on discipline. But when I get up here, sometimes I lose it. But yeah, I'm for it. I just came up here to pass through, and that's about it.
Hey, got it, Jacob. And what you're saying is exactly what I'm saying. That if we all make a conscious effort to not throw a shot like at Black American culture, that will stop us from throwing a shot at African culture or vice versa. You know, these are the things that I'm saying that we can do without, because at the end of the day, it's really not helping. You know, when the last caller came on, and I respect his input, said that there's really no diaspora war going on. I know you had a story about you saw, I believe he was Nigerian, a brother that was going into a hotel or something, and you said, "Hey, black man," and what happened?
Yeah, he said, I'm not black, I'm Nigerian. But you know, when we say what's up, black man, now it's just like, what's up? What's going on, black
Right,
man? And
right,
he stopped aggressively, was like, yo, I'm not black, I'm Nigerian. So I was like, and then that, you know, that made me feel a certain type of way. So I'm like, bro, I'm coming at you on some, you know, what's up, black man? He took it somewhere
right.
else. I'm like, really? Okay, that's how we doing it, you know. So
And those
it
are
is what it is.
skirmishes in the diaspora war, which we're trying to stop. So if we could get at least 20 people in the chat right now, so I'm not asking you to never throw a shot because we're human. We're gonna backslide. We're gonna make mistakes. But I would ask you to commit to thinking twice before you send something like a snarky comment that could cause another snarky comment, which is gonna turn into a Twitter finger war, which is gonna widen that gap instead of bridge the gap.
Yeah, yeah, but hey, I gotta go. I was just passing through. I saw NAKMEEZY up here. Dynast, I follow you every now and then. You still my dude, but yeah, Knock. I came up here because Knock was up here, so I got the
You
back.
said you said but that cancels it.
I'm just keeping it real, man. Hey, my man was over here. I said I got to go him. I got to go listen to him because I like when he
Thank
speak
you, bro. I
that truth.
appreciate you. Got it, Jacob. Thank you, bro. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah. We
military
out
man, so
though.
I connect with military men. Facts.
For sure.
So
Let's
someone
see.
said I'm not an entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur, but there's certain things that I don't make money off of. You know, and giving back to the community, that's not a financial venture for me. I have a whole bag of black doll heads because my wife and I have we sell black dolls, you know, so that we can have young girls see dolls that look like themselves and have other ventures. But as far as standing on the front line for the black community, I wouldn't even feel right taking a cent for anything that's related to that.
All right, treasure rules. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, what's up? Um, you see, the problem is this: a lot of the black immigrants are trying to redefine something that's already a define, rather than a define themselves.
Elaborate, brother.
Huh?
Could you elaborate, brother?
Because like Black American and African American, we are a legal ethnic group. What they're doing is running like a Kamala Harris, Yvette Clark, Joy Reid. All them people with the Democrats are from the Caribbean mostly, and some of them are Nigerian. Now they're saying they're Black Americans and speaking for us. In the same time, they have a separate identity. So it'll be I'm a Jamaican born and Nigerian born. So they're claiming both identities when it suits them.
Mm-hmm.
That is where a lot of the problem, because you see all of them with other Democrats, and that's why people are saying they're non-FBA, because they keep speaking for us, and the Democrats is behind it. That's the real problem with this, is they're trying to like take our identity. That's the problem.
I understand what you're saying. There was a woman, her weave was crazy. She was in DC. Her name was Nestrad Yunga. She
Yeah,
was saying, we black Americans, and she wasn't even a black American. So I
right.
understand your point. When you misrepresent yourself as a black American, and then you speak out of the side of your mouth for things that can have a negative effect on black Americans, then you become, problematic. I'll flip it onto the continent. Let's say I took my homie up on my offer, right, and went to Benin State, but then I went to Igbo land, right, and then I start speaking. I get in front of a camera, and then I start speaking points that are not in line with the Biafra movement or what the spokesperson Nnamdi Kanu was speaking, or speaking out against the new security force that was formed there. But I'm doing it under the guise that, hey, I took a genetic test and I'm Nigerian, so now I can speak. No, I'll be causing more harm than good. So it's one thing. That's why I say we have to respect each other's differences and let those who who speak for that group speak for that group. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you in that.
So, but they're not doing that. They keep arguing, saying that they are Black American, they're African American, but they're not that. It's a government thing with the Democrats, with Candace Owens. You see them all doing this, and they're speaking. They have a dual identity. So we're telling them they're not us, and they're saying we're all the same. Or the Caribbean saying American are descendants of slaves. We're from the Americas. We was enslaved too. America is not a country, it's a continent. We're Black Americans too. Y'all not the only ones that's that.
Right.
This is the source of contention of it. And people's not addressing this. Because where most of us from, we don't know no Caribbeans or no Africans.
Where you from, brother? Where you from?
I'm from Joliet, Illinois, 30 minutes away from Chicago.
Okay, gotcha. So your experience might be different from mine as someone from Brooklyn, because I had this sort of this conversation as well with whether Africans and people from the Caribbean who identify themselves as Black Americans are doing it nefariously, or are they just identifying as Black people in America? And I think that's where the confusion comes in. When you're saying you're a Black American, we have to understand that the ADOS movement, or this lineage that we're talking about, is not mainstream yet. So a lot of Black people that were raised in America will call themselves Black Americans, especially if they have an American passport. They might be first or second generation Caribbean or African, but a lot of them are very proud of where they come from as well. So they're not hiding it. So the fact that they're not hiding where they come from tells me that some of them, at least, are not trying to pass themselves off as us, so that they can do something that's going to have a negative effect on us.
So no, it's like politics. This is why the whole thing started. This whole thing started with Camilla Harris. When people said that she wasn't one of us. That's when it started, and it's through the politics, like they're trying to take our identity. That's the problem. It's not Pan-Africanism, it's like Pan-Americanism. They saying Pan-Africanism, but they're saying they're us, and then telling us that we're them. It's Pan-Americanism disguised as Pan-Africanism.
Right, I understand.
It has nothing to do with Pan-Africanism. because they're not trying to go to Africa. They're trying to come here. They're not trying to unite come up with Africa. They're trying to assimilate into us to where they have the control through the Democrats.
Understand you, bro. Dynas, you want to weigh in on this?
No, I mean, I'm kind of, I don't say neutral, but I will say this: I am a firm believer in, Booker T. Washington had the Tuskegee method model, which he invited Africans to come in, develop skills, but under the condition that they go back and develop their countries. So I think what's going on now is like you see, and I don't want to be decisive. Here we go. I think wherever country you originate from, because I think it's a blessing to be able to call yourself Jamaican, Nigerian, Senegalese, but your loyalty should be to your country of origin. And it's just, I disagree with someone having more pride in America than their country of origin. And we're starting to somewhat see that. You shouldn't be bragging about developing the infrastructure of America. You should be coming here, developing the skills, and going back and developing your home country, whether it be Nigeria, Senegal, Jamaica, Aruba, South Africa, whatever, Kenya, whatever it is. And so I think it's like, hey, he was the first so-and-so, with Nigerians. I guess they were bragging about how the majority of graduates from, like, I think Howard Medical School were Nigerian. And I was like, how's that a win for Nigeria? It's not. It's a win for American infrastructure. But your loyalty should be to Nigeria, because we all know that more than likely, those who graduated from medical school are going to stay here in America, build American infrastructure, and then maybe when they retire, go back to Nigeria once they retire.
Right.
So that's our role.
Okay. I have a question for someone in the chat. Shaka XL. Could you drop where you're checking in from, brother, please? Shaka XL. Drop where you're checking in from. So yeah, all right, brother. What do you think about a ceasefire in the diaspora world? Do you think that's possible with all these issues that you just named?
No, because it's a war. It's like this. This is what it's really about. It's about these politics and the identity thing. Now, Pan-Africanism has been hijacked by people from certain countries, from the Caribbean, Nigerian, especially the Igbos and the Yorubas and the Cameroonians. These people are like evacuationists. They want to leave. They want to evacuate those countries. This is like what I'm saying. And so wherever they want to go, they study these systems. If there's any tribal divisions, just like what's going on up in South Africa, people don't want to address this. And certain governments is with it. Like this, a replacing of the people. The Democrats is on this. This is like what I'm saying. It's like redefining things. So as long as these people, they want to go, if it was Uganda or Kenya, they would storm there and say you're anti-Pan-Africanism. We have to address this evacuationist from these places. If you look all over the internet, all the Caribbeans, you see them going to everywhere. Do you see, like, they're trying to leave there, all of them, and they don't want to be there. They feel they're trapped there, and these people have this and they want that. They don't want to live their lifestyle. They've totally given up. They're psychologically stateless and consciously countryless. That's the only reason why we would be having this argument.
Okay, brother. Well, I thank you for your input. I want to see if you can end it on a positive, but I don't think that's going to happen tonight. And I ain't going to try to force you to do something you don't want to do.
I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying that this is what I'm trying to break down is the origin of the problem, not go back and forth or skirt around. I'm just breaking down. This is the problem. So we have to deal with the problem from the beginning, how we can address this, because this
So what
is
is
the
the is your problem that they're misrepresenting themselves as Black Americans and they're in political positions that they can vote or pass legislation to the negative of Black Americans?
No, my problem is that, and this is a lot of people's problem, we feel that our identity and our birthright is being taken. They shouldn't call themselves that. Then you'll see when it's something bad, we are one, Black American, like African American, but when it's something good, it'll be like the first Jamaican American, the first Haitian American. It's like a dual identity.
He has a point with that. He does have a point.
Yep.
If it's negative, we're all lumped in. But if it's positive, then it's like the first immigrant or the first Jamaican or Nigerian. He does have a point with that. But again, my point is, I just think that if you are the immigrant, your passion and your focus should be on building your home. That's what it should be. You know, I don't understand. Some people get upset when I say that. I don't understand why, because you have your own. You have Nigeria, or we have Nigeria, Senegal, Ghana, whatever it is. And just the ones who are like more passionate about America than they are their home country. That's where I'm like, come on now. Like, get the skills, build, get the skills, go back and build.
And another thing, Dinus, I think that you need to have a show about this situation with South Africans and talk to other South Africans. What are they going through with this thing? You see, like what I'm saying, which is the exact same thing. It's not hatred. Like, I don't know no Africans or no Caribbeans. Every place I've been, we don't really know them like that. I'm not saying it's not some here. I looked it up. It's only 20,000 of them here. They never identified themselves as even Black before. This is a new thing. So it's confusing. They would say,
so how many people
Jamaican.
from the Caribbean do you know, brother? How many people do you know from the Caribbean?
I know my cousin, he married to a Haitian.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not normal like here, because it's not a lot like that. So
Right,
it's by chance.
So how's your relationship with her?
I mean, they're cool. She's cool, but there's still differences. They couldn't speak. There's still differences because they're caught up in like the immigration thing. She spent years trying to get her family over here, but she's cool.
All right. So the fact that she's cool, and the fact that she's Black, doesn't mean we're the same, because we're not. But we could put down we don't have to throw shots at her or other people that were born in other places when we need to be throwing shots at the real ops. You know, do you upload content, brother?
No, I don't really do content. I just came up here to explain other things.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
All right, I'ma leave. All right, bye.
All right, peace. So now look, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's unpack it. And I'm glad the brother came on, and I respect his opinion, and he does make some good points. My issue with my people is that sometimes we tend to throw shots at people that look like us and not the ops. That's why I'm calling for this ceasefire. That doesn't mean I have to try to be Ghanaian. As much as I love the Ga people, I'm not Ga. I'm not trying to swagger jack their culture, because I respect it enough to admire it from a distance and only move in circles and in places where I'm invited by them. So I can respect theirs and they can respect mine as being different. But because we all have a lineage that goes back to that continent, because we as Black people worldwide deal with a lot of the same issues, this is why I say that bridge needs to be gapped. Pause. That gap needs to be bridged, and we need to stop doing this and start doing that. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have to try to be the same, because we're not. Anyone that'll get on here and say that we're all the same, just because you're black don't mean you're the same. There's black people in America that I absolutely can't stand. And some of them live in the same neighborhoods, have the same upbringing. So humans are gonna find ways to separate. But when you're part of the human race, when you're part of a race that has constant pressure from every single other race on this planet, like the great teacher said, we have no friends, then we better start making friends with each other, because if not, then it's going to be a wrap. And making friends doesn't mean being each other. It says when you walk down the street, give them that black man nod, like, yo, what up? That's it. Just try to be nice to each other, first and foremost. In the chat, in the streets, at work, pull a brother to the side, be like, yo, let me put you on game, bro. I've done it. And a lot of times I got a video about it. It's called how some Black Americans handle racism versus how some Africans handle workplace racism. Check it out. And I had to put the some because I'm not going to generalize. We can't generalize each other because we're all in these same platforms, right? I have Africans that's on Dinas Amir's platform. Dinas was born in America. He identifies himself as an African. Salute to him, and I respect that. But we're all in these same spaces. So if we're going to be in the same space, then we got to learn to love each other, learn to get along. Otherwise, it's going to, you know what happens when you got a roommate that you can't stand? You start checking the level on your orange juice. Yo, you was drinking my orange juice? Don't sit on my couch. Don't eat my cereal. It's never going to work. Permanent ceasefire for the diaspora war. Yeah, we understand that it's there. We understand the root causes of it. The root causes of it is that humans always find a way to separate. Western Europeans are not together. But when it comes to being on code, they get on code when it's necessary. And we as Black people need to start getting on code and leave this petty squabbling, you know, by the wayside. So who we got here?
Brother Mufasa, go ahead.
All right, peace. Yeah, I don't got my my hotspot, so hopefully y'all hear me and my connection is good. So yeah, my point, I think it's too early for a ceasefire. I think all the people that are calling in are giving you reasons. I just think it's too early for a ceasefire because I disagree strongly with something that you just said, and I think it's oversimplified to say that we know how it happened. I don't think we know how it happened because personally, I got my finger on the pulse a little bit in the Pan-African sphere, and I don't fully know how it happened. And I think a good point that you mentioned with the brother from Illinois, we all don't have the same situation with immigrants. Like for you, you're from New York. That's a totally different thing. I'm from San Diego.
Right.
We had refugees from Sudan that, you know, they got their own kind of communities. You go over there in university, and Ethiopians and Somalians. You get what I'm saying? We used to just call them all Malis. You know what I'm saying? We didn't really know what it was or what it, but our situation with them was different. And what I noticed, there was one brother from Nigeria that went to my high school. So did he get clowned? Did he get different things like that? He did. But the difference was, you know, his name was OG. The difference with him was he, if you clown him, he'll clown your ass back with his funny Nigerian voice and whatever, you know? So he ended up fitting in. He ended up fitting in and making it, right? But what I noticed over time, it was Africans and different people that I met through different points of my life. Little things will go up or you hear something said, and they'll be talking about how bad their experience was with African Americans and different things like that. And it was a couple people who surprised me where I would be like, damn, I thought it was cool. I didn't know you was having all these issues. You get what I mean? So I don't know if we at the point yet where it could be a ceasefire when we need to like listen to each other first, because I think we need more to ask more people about their like what was your experience like? And then Black American, what was your experience like with these people? Because when you talk to our people, they got different experiences. Some people it's because the Nigerians that they worked at their job. Some people it's like, hey, these Ethiopian dudes, every time I see them, they don't talk, and I be trying to be like, hey, what's up, you know? And then some people say they clown me. So it's so many different experiences. I think we got to get those all out on the table, because a ceasefire has terms. You get what I'm saying? We have to have peace terms. So it's like, look, you stop doing this and you stop doing this. But we don't know exactly what everybody is ceasing. What are we ceasing to do? To argue
Well, I'll tell
online?
you that the ceasefire is in the disrespect.
Yeah,
That's
but
what it's about.
why?
It's about
Where's the
respect.
disrespect coming from, though?
Hold
We gotta
on, and we're gonna get into that right now, brother. I'm glad you want to just zone in on what it is. So we have to understand that, like I said, human nature is to look at someone sideways that's not from your group, right? That's not exclusive to black people, but black people are the people. We are the people that can less afford to do that. So when I hear an African saying, Black Americans treated me like crap, when you ask them, what was it? They're going to tell you, I was called an African booty scratcher. I was bullied in school. When I went to work, the Black American ladies didn't sit with me. And then you ask a Black American, then it's going to be at work, they did this and they did that. These are minor things, bro. You come from San Diego. I lived on the West Coast as well. I lived in Highland Park. And this ceasefire that we're talking about between us is nothing compared to the green light that was put on Black Americans in Highland Park from the Mexicans. So we have to take it into context and say, look, it's easy, or it should be easy, to respect each other. It should be easy not to disrespect someone based on what they were born in. It should be easy to say, hey, where you from? Oh, Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. This is where I'm from, and chop it up. It's a lot easier to do that than to walk up Figueroa and worry about if those Mexicans that you saw driving past are going to pull around and pop you on the strength that you black. But go on, brother.
Yeah, no, I feel that. But see, the issue with that's where I was trying to allude to earlier when I was saying like what you said, a lot of them will be like, well, they call me African booty scratcher, they did this and that or whatever, right? I play it off. I'm like, yeah, but we just be clowning. You're taking it personal or whatever. But some people is really hurt by that because they were trying to find their identity and fit in and do normal things that you took for granted, and they were stopped from doing that. So I think more African Americans need to look at it from their view, and we got to let them really talk, and we really got to do our best to see it from their side. Because for me, I'm like, look, brush it off. That's what we do in our culture. You get what I'm saying? Grow up.
Yep.
You get what I mean? That's what we do. But you got to look at it from that perspective of them living through it, because it's too many of them respond in a certain way where I had to fall back and I had to realize I don't understand where they're coming from because I wasn't trying to. You get what I mean? So I think that stuff has to be put out there. Go ahead.
What you said was just facts right there. 100% facts. We have to at least care to know what they're going through, what we're going through. They have to care to say, why are Black Americans, why is snapping or cutting on each other part of Black American culture? Like that Nigerian dude, he got with the get down. He would cut back, there's a part of Black American culture where we like to, snap on each other, right? But at the end of the day, if we're not building each other up and we're just tearing each other down, is that a part of our culture that we want to keep? Right. Because now it's that's called bullying. Back in the day, you know what I'm saying, you got stronger from that. We have a different generation of people, and they're going to call it bullying. Do we still need to be putting new immigrants through trials by fire when they come, not understanding that that's part of our culture? And a lot of times we don't mean it. Back in the day when we used to snap, we used to be like, you're big, or your mom was so fat. Things. It was like lighthearted. Nowadays it's not lighthearted anymore, and it's a sign of the time. So like you said, we have to try to get into their head, see what's going on, because the host is the one that should be extending that olive branch, and it's on the guest to be a good guest. Once we're a good host and we have a good guest and we're trying to understand each other's culture, then there won't even be a diaspora war. You know what I'm saying? We get on here, we talk, we go back and forth with each other all the time, But if I had to tell you what Africans did to me in New York City, they have never taken a job from me. The worst that an African has done to me was not treat me like, I would view Africans when I grew up as a Pan-African, like brother, brother, brother. They were more standoffish. So now the question is, why are they standoffish? Is it because before they got there, their parents said, hey, stay away from the Akata? Is it because of what happened to them on the schoolyard? What is it? For every story I can tell about an African pulling back, I can also tell you a story about an African brother. I forget where he was from, Senegal, as a matter of fact. He had a store on Fulton Street, Fulton in Brooklyn, right across from Pathmark. If Bed-Stuy is in the house, they'll know what I'm talking about. And I don't know if you remember those shoes called Bapes. Pharrell used to rock them. They look like Nike Uptown Air Force Ones, but they were patent leather and they had a star instead of a right. So it was a Senegalese brother who put me on where to get the fake Bapes from China from. So he gave me his plug, whereas the Korean man or somebody else wouldn't even give me the time of day. So that right there is something that I could have ran with, and that gap would have been bridged from way back then. You understand what I'm saying? We have to stop looking at each other as ops. You know what I'm saying? And I think what you said is a very good point, that we need to start getting into each other's brains. Like I said, I got a video. It's called Rhyme. It's called All the Smoke, Understanding Rhyme and Reason, Rage and Reason. And it was about that guy dude who misrepresented himself as a Black American because he didn't want to get snapped on from a Black American because that's all he knew. That's real. And I can't say, yo, that didn't happen. Oh, we didn't treat you bad. Yo, we treat each other like shit. Excuse me. We treat each other like crap. So
yeah, no doubt. See, and that's, oh, my bad. Go ahead and finish.
No, go on, brother. You go on.
Yeah, so the other side of the whole thing of me needing to understand why they feel that way about us snapping on them. Well, we don't say snap, we say clown or whatever. But the other side of that is they got to understand that that's our culture and have somebody explain that to them, because they don't make, a lot of Africans don't know that. You know, like right. I'll give you another example, right? On this show, there's a brother out there in the Gambia from the UK or whatever, right? And he talked about how when he's going around the Gambia, if you don't greet people with like salam alaikum or something like that, they'll be rude to you. They'll never open up to you because greetings are very important. I've been learning that current theme in West Africa. Like, hey, greetings and things like this, they're very important, right? Or otherwise people will be standoffish. But when you speak to them or greet them, right, then they open up and they're really happy and they're really, happy to talk to you. So sometimes we may be seeing some people are conditioned to be like, well, wait a minute, these people aren't greeting me in this way, they're not doing this or whatever, and maybe they're not talking to you because of that. But I think in the end of the day, is this on this one point, then I got one more. I think we need more programs where we let people just talk. Like your show where you're saying all smoke and letting people come on, and even though it's a little contentious, I would rather, when people get mad, sometimes the truth come out. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then people's like, I might be with a roommate for all this time, but we have to get into a heated debate before I bring up the courage to tell him it's because his feet smell bad. You get what I'm saying? And he might get mad or we might fight, but now he's going to fix the problem. So I don't think it might be too early for a ceasefire while we're figuring this out. And we need more systematic ways that more people, like, I shouldn't have to dig through the crates of hours and hours of Pan-African footage to figure out that Africans feel this way and Americans feel this way. We need a better way to get this out to more people. You feel me? But
so, brother, if you know that there's a problem, right? And you know that the solution is understanding and respect, could you not take those steps right now to understand our brothers from Africa and respect them off the rip? Can you do that?
I could do that. I could do better than that.
Well, all right. So then what you just did was you put that, you put that arm down in the diaspora war. So welcome to the ceasefire, brother. I appreciate you. Now, what was your next point?
Okay, so then my last point on what you're saying in terms of, like, so you're saying if you go there and you mess with the God people, you're not God, or whatever. If the people do the little Kumerica and they you know, they do our culture and people saying that you ain't black. I think that's true, and I'm a proud Black American, FBA, whatever you want to call it, right? But America was built on immigrants, right? So you had Irish people that would come to America and make the choice that they're now American. Cultures do that all the time. Hip hop started as like Black and Caribbean people making music, but we allowed Eminem to come into our culture, right?
Right.
It was our decision to allow that to happen, right? And I'm not saying we should be letting whites in, but the point is, I don't want to make it so rigid. Like, if you're a Black American and you want to go over and the Igbos accept you, and the Igbos say you are now Igbo, I don't want people to like not want to do that. I think that's cool. I think between us, we should be able to do it. But the point is, like the brother said earlier, if you come over here, like if the people want to do hip hop, and we say that they cool and they could do it, they should be able to do that. And if you come over here and and we accept you and we say that Kamala Harris is Black or whatever the case, if we say she is down with FBA and we approve of it, then it should be cool. But if you're not FBA on Monday, you can't come on Friday and run for office and then make it like, oh yeah, I'm Black and speak for Black people. We gotta say it's cool. You get what I mean? So I don't want to.
I get you 100%.
Yeah,
no, I get you. I don't want you to misunderstand me. I don't want you to misunderstand me when I said I mess with the God people and I'm not God. I'm doing that, putting respect on their culture. If they decide to bring me in and say, yo, check this out now, you learned our language, you learned our culture, you have the respect of the community, we're making you an honorary God, then I can accept that. But I'm talking about not swagger jagging people's stuff. Just like you said, if we invite someone in and say, all right, you're in, you know, within our group, that's what we can be, but they don't have to forget who they were before we brought them into the group. That's my point.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's pretty much, that's it, man.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. What we'll do, NAKMEEZY, we'll go ahead and close out, brother. Anything else you'd like to share and close? And my hiccups came back. Anything else you'd like to share and close?
I just want to say, look, everyone in the chat, let's just be nice to each other. Let's just be nice to each other. You know what I'm saying? That's it. There's some comments and stuff that we could have discussed, but if you want, tune into the next show, then we can have the spicy back and forth. But as long as we keep it respectful, what I'm trying to do is make this thing of just being nice to each other and not warring with each other. Let that go viral. You know what I'm saying? Let's not make the latest YouTube gossip go viral. Let's make being nice to each other go viral. While it's not, somebody said NAKMEEZY no, and his name was I Eat Booty, so I'm not going to pay attention to that. Let's just be nice to each other. So we're going to close out on that on a positive note.
Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, and subscribe. Again, like, share, and subscribe. I'll leave for Sarah Leon on I cannot wait. Everyone, thank you so much. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Sorry about the hiccups. Peace.
Peace.